Joining me now is Congresswoman Karen Bass, a leader of the CBC. She's worked on these civil rights issues for a long time. She also introduced the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, which we will get to, but let's begin with your response to what we're learning about this case and the investigation.
Well, thank goodness we have a new administration with the Justice Department that has intervened so quickly. I think it's incredible. Do you know that that department invited the family to see the videotape? And then when they got there, changed their mind and said, no, we need to redact it or edit it. Now, how could that possibly generate any trust between that family or the community about the police department? I believe this is a wholesale cover-up. And the fact that they would only show them the last 20 seconds of their loved one's life is despicable.
And what do you expect to come from the investigation, the federal review?
Well, I expect that the DOJ, the Department of Justice, will be able to get the entire tape. I certainly hope they haven't destroyed the evidence. I worry when they say they're redacting it. I don't really know, what that means in terms of will they completely alter the tape or what? So that's what I expect. And then, of course, it has to lead to an examination of that department. If they would do something so egregious as this, what else are they doing? What else has happened?
That's a single case, very important. Turning to what many experts have said is needed, a wider reform. I just want to get your views on these negotiations, because we're hearing a lot about Republicans doing some sort of middle ground if they can get certain things out of what is essentially your bill. Do you trust the process at this point? Do you have any concerns, as we've heard from some activists, that this is an effort to dilute a bill that most, if not all, Republicans won't ultimately support anyway?
Well, first of all, I absolutely trust the process because I trust the individuals that I'm dealing with. This has been a bipartisan discussions, informal discussions that started right after the bill passed the House on March 3rd. And so we have built up a lot of goodwill. I believe that Senator Tim Scott wants to see this done. Mitch McConnell has given him the authority. And so I believe that we will have a bill on President Biden's desk. I feel about 80% sure that we will be able to do something. And then, Ari, when a bill moves from one house to the next, it doesn't stay exactly the same. But I think it's important to say that this is a significant piece of legislation, but so much more needs to be done.
Yeah. Stay with me. I want to bring in Neil Kochel, who's former acting U.S. Solicitor General. He was a special prosecutor in the Chauvin murder trial, and we're going to get to some of that expertise and behind-the-scenes details on that legal process shortly, which is part of why Neil's here, and good to see you, Neil. But Congresswoman, first for you, and then I think Neil will weigh in as you both have such voluminous experience here. I want to play something from Tim Scott here as recently as last summer. Really ruling out the idea of reforming any of the immunity that officers have, which has been such a sticking point. Take a look.
Qualified immunity is off the table. They see that as a poison pill on our side. So we're going to have to find a path that helps us reduce misconduct within the officers. But at the same time, we know that any poison pill in legislation means we get nothing done.
Your response, because many activists, including those who have appeared on this program, have said that having at least some reform to that kind of immunity, which we've seen in a couple of states, is key to having accountability.
Well, one of the things that we did is we brought in top experts from around the country on qualified immunity, both Democrats as well as Republicans. And I think over the course of time, we have all been informing ourselves about the nuances, the problems, especially because qualified immunity is not a law. It's a court decision, and it's created a lot of havoc. A lot of really crazy examples of officers getting off on immunity because this is such a mangled court decision. There was one case, for example, of officers that stole $250,000 from a drug dealer. They got off with immunity because you couldn't find another case that was exactly like that would have removed the immunity from them. So it's a flawed area of the law. I wish the Supreme Court would act. It hasn't, but I do believe that we will come to some type of agreement around qualified immunity.
Okay. Congresswoman, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I greatly appreciate it.